Welcome to Something to Talk About, a lively hour of open discussion covering, well, anything and everything. Hosted by Stuart Sachs, husband, father, and military veteran, and Vaughn Loick, wife, mother, and best-selling author. Now, Something to Talk About. Stuart and Vaughn.
Well, good morning. It is Something to Talk About here on KVGI Radio in beautiful downtown Frisco, Texas. Live without limits. And actually, it is Stuart and Vaughn. She is still Vaughn.
He's still Stuart.
And we are together again.
There's the song.
Yeah.
All together now. All together,
It's all together now.
All together now.
That's
all
what we
together
should. We should put together
That
a
should be
little
our song.
group of things that
That should be our theme song when I'm actually here.
come together.
There's a lot
right now.
We could come up with a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be a lot of fun to do.
All right.
that.
So now we're on to something different and new. Feeling like by Friday I was feeling really productive and that I had just like this incredibly constructive week and I felt really accomplished and had checked off a lot of things. And Friday evening, I was down for the count.
Oh, yep.
My body said, "Whoa, girl, you're getting a little too old for all this."
that happens to
So,
me. That happens
yeah.
to me often too, and I get to that point where you bend over just a certain way and
Yep,
something
that's
just
what it is.
snaps.
That's it.
And
nobody really understands unless you. So I have 3 degenerative discs, the bottom 3, and
me too.
yeah, it's very common.
Yeah.
Actually, I was sitting next to a man at dinner the other night who had similar issues, although he had to have surgery. But thank goodness I'm not at that point. For me, it's
I
some
don't
muscle
wanna do that,
muscle
yeah.
relaxers and ice and heat and whatnot. And I can usually bring myself back. But anyway, yeah, it's just a reminder to slow down. And I've only had 3 times where, to your point, you just know when you feel that little twinge. You know that that's not just a little hiccup. That is. Okay, this is the onset of what's going to take me like a week or 2 to feel
that's right.
myself
It
again.
takes an instant to do and 3 weeks to undo.
Yeah. So that is why I chose. Yeah, I did. I felt bad. I had a couple assignments, this week, and I had to cancel because I'm filming myself on Facebook. I think.
Oh,
Okay,
look at that.
this is not good.
She's
I really think I just started filming myself on Facebook. Okay. So yeah, when you teach, I cannot do this.
Okay.
When you teach, you are on your feet all day with the exception of maybe 30 minutes total because
Right.
you're walking around the classroom. And I teach little ones. So they sit in little chairs at little desks. And so when they need a little help, you're bending way, way, way down to help them with their paper and whatnot. And I had to cancel because I thought if I'd spent 2 days like that, walking and standing and bending
You won't be
and
available for
lifting
the
and
next
carrying
week or two.
books and doing whatnot,
Yeah.
then it would have set me back. So I had to cancel. So but the silver lining is that I got to come here because I knew here I could sit and do my thing
Just sit here
Yep.
and just be brilliant.
and try to be as brilliant as I can be. Yeah, I kind of looked at the topic and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to, I said to my dad, my parents are in town. They just got here yesterday.
Oh, great.
They told me to tell you hello, by the way.
Oh, well, to Barbara and Coach, thank you.
Yep, they're actually at home on the patio listening. And so I was telling them about the topic and we talked a little bit about it. I said, well, I'm going to follow Stuart's lead and I'm just going to let you take it away. And then I'm going to just,
Yeah, and you had to work last week, so this
did.
was actually something that I wanted to talk about a couple of weeks back, and I said instead of with Lauren, I'm going to save it because I got to thinking about agreements and contractual agreements that people have.
yeah.
I'm kind of a nut for Judge Judy, and very often
Didn't she just retire?
I don't know.
I want to say Judge Judy just retired. I think it was a big.
I
Well,
didn't
someone
see
has to
that one.
Google that.
Yeah.
Yep. We're just gonna Google that for us. Get that.
we'll
we're
find
gonna,
out.
We're gonna get that
We're gonna-
answer to you in just a
Our
minute.
top-notch staff is on it.
Reporter on the scene.
Yes. Breaking news.
Yes.
News.
No,
Right
I think that piece of information is accurate. But anyway, so you're a big fan.
here. And so often, the question is, somebody says, I loaned him $1,000, and he said he was going to pay me back. And one of the questions is, do you have it in writing? And they say, well, no, it was just a handshake agreement and all. Or they say, oh no, I don't think that it was a loan, it was a gift. Well, if you don't have it in writing, then you don't really have a contract.
Right.
However, in just doing a little bit of digging, there's a lot of different ways that people can have agreements that aren't written contracts. Obviously, if you're in a corporate world, it's best to have a written agreement, and it can be pages and pages and pages and pages, and it is going to cost you thousands of dollars because you have to have the attorneys put it all together. So if you're forming a corporation or whatever, yeah, you want to have an agreement that's got all the I's dotted and T's crossed.
Right.
But let's say I'm having trouble getting my car fixed, okay, and I need a new set of tires, and you know what? I just made a payment on something, and I'm a little bit short. And Vaughn, you say, what do you need? Oh, a new set of tires is going to be $500. Okay, I'll loan you $500. Okay, you've used the word loan,
Mm-hmm.
and I say, oh my God, I if you can, I promise I will pay you back within 2 months. I'll give you $100 next week, and I'll pay you $100 every week until I pay you back the $500. Okay, fine. We shake hands.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's an agreement that you and I have made.
Right.
Now all of a sudden you say to me after 2 weeks, when I loaned you that $500 for the new tires, you said you were going to pay me back $100 a week. Oh yeah. You know what? I had this other bill that came due, and I'm a little bit short, so I'll start next week.
Yeah.
Number one, what you're going to do is you're going to start to sour the friendship, because you trusted that person to say that they're going to live up to the terms of what your agreement was, and you shook on the agreement, and you say, well, we shook hands, and you said you were going to pay me back, so I really need for you to pay me back because I got bills too. Then all of a sudden it ends up in Judge Judy's court. and I can guarantee you,
Judge Judy's going to say, sucker.
yeah.
Sorry, but
She's going to say, if you didn't get it in writing, then you don't have
that's
a contract.
kind of a no-brainer, wouldn't you think? I don't know. You'd have to be pretty.
It is to a certain degree, and I'm going to tell you how.
You tell me
how it differs. How it can differ is I can take my phone and I can put my phone on video.
Yeah.
And I can video you saying,
oh, okay,
here's $500.
Okay.
And video me saying, I will pay you back $100 a week for the next 5 weeks.
Really?
Okay. That will hold up in the court.
And does the video have to be like, do you have to say to the person, you can't be doing like an undercover, like secret video. It has to be known to the other person. I'm assuming the other person has to be told that they are being videoed.
I will tell you that if it's video and you were sitting in Judge Judy's courtroom,
yeah,
and I was to and you were to say to Judge Judy, oh, wait a minute, Judge Judy, we didn't have a written contract.
Yeah.
But he said he was going to pay me back $100 a week for 5 weeks.
Right.
I have it on video. Now,
right.
I might say, wait a minute, I didn't know she was videoing that.
I didn't give consent to the video. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
I could almost sit here and guarantee you that Judge Judy would say, oh, well, if you have a video, then you, sir, admitted that you were going to pay it back, and these are the terms.
And maybe, but the whole consent thing, I guarantee you, could come into play. That other person might have I'm just playing devil. That other person might have an argument to say, I did not consent to that video, therefore that video cannot be used in the court of law.
As
I don't
evidence.
know. I watch too many criminal law, whatever.
Right. And
law shows.
I'll tell you what, if I want to go through the process or the expense of getting an attorney to say that you took that video without my client knowing about it, go ahead and do it, because you're going to end up losing all the way around.
Yeah.
I believe.
Well, the other person already brought them to court, though, to get the $500. So here's the deal. If it's $500, just figure it out and pay it. Because legal fees are going to take you a lot.
Well, and what Judge Judy's going to say, pay the girl. You said you were going to pay her. You owe her the money. That's the ruling of the court. and I'm going to end up paying you anyway.
In Judge Judy's court.
All I've done is bought myself some additional time. Now, if we're talking about a $500,000 video, yeah, I might want to say, wait a minute, I resent the fact that I was being videoed without my knowledge. Now, you might argue, wait a minute, I was sitting there with the phone up like this. How could he not know he was being videoed?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. If it's consented, then that's one thing. If it's not, it's another. I mean, if you're clearly doing this, then clearly you're videotaping that.
Yeah, I mean.
But if it's like behind under here, you're looking up because it's laying on the table,
or there's a little camera up in the corner that nobody knows.
I don't know. I just think, yes, I don't know, Judge Judy. I don't watch her show or whatever. But then there might be a court where they're like, listen, you don't have it in writing. There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, I don't know. I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. But I do watch a lot of law shows. I watch, Law and Order, love Criminal Minds. Anyway, it's funny because I can't tell you how many scenes I've seen in those shows where, like, say they're getting to the end of the trial and it looks like it's going to go one way, and so the prosecutor or the defendant, whatever, they all of a sudden are like cutting a deal with they're like, look, we just found out that your client so here's what we're going to put on the table for you right now, here's the deal.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they go into the judge's chambers and somebody comes in with new news and they haven't yet signed anything, they haven't yet put the paperwork together on the deal that they were going to put together, and all of a sudden somebody comes in with a late breaking piece of news and the guy says, hey, wait, we had a deal. And the other lawyer's like, we didn't have a deal yet, So verbally the deal was communicated, but nothing was ever written. And I think that's bottom line, safest route, period. If you want something done, get it, or a deal to be made between two parties, get it in writing, have a signature.
Yeah, a lot of the cases that come up too are that he agreed me to sell me his boat for $2,000. And then when I went to pick up the boat, he says, "Oh, it's going to be $2,500." And all. So now I'm in court because I either want to give him the boat back and get my $2,000 back, or I'm not going to pay him the extra $500. There is no limit to the kind of stipulations that there can be in a verbal contract. Yeah. That's why when you have a verbal contract, even though it's between two close friends, it's always a good idea for the two close friends to say, you know what, it's probably to our benefit to put this in writing. Mm-hmm. Now, you don't have to call your attorney and have him draft up a legal document. You can sit down and take out your legal pad, and you can write, I, Stuart, agree to loan Von Loic $500 for a new set of tires, to be repaid at $100 a week for the next 5 weeks. Okay? I sign it, you sign it. That is a legal document. Yep. It's a legal binding contract. Mm-hmm. Even though it's scribbled out on a pad of paper, that will hold up in court. Yep, I would agree to that. Again, in writing and signatures. Yeah. And it would help, I would guess, listen, again, I mean, I'm no professional on this, but I would also venture to say that, get a third party to sign as well, so that it's not just between the two parties involved, but that you have a witness to sign as an added signature to the document. I would think that would provide additional, security, safety to the document. Especially in modern times today. I mean, if you go back 40 or 50 years, one rancher would say, I'm going to sell you a dozen head of cattle, and all. And here's the price. And the other guy says, okay, I'll pay you in 2 weeks. They spit in the palm of their hands and they shake hands and everything, and that's a binding contract. Mm-hmm. That old my word is my bond. Mm-hmm. Remember that old phrase? No. My no. My word is my bond. If I say to you, I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And you know what, Stuart? Here's the deal. There are people in this world who, if they're going to shake your hand on something, by golly, they're going that meant something to them. Right. Or if they say you have my word on it, that means something to them. And that person, that's that type of person who's going to follow through, whether or not it turned out, to not be what they wanted to follow through on or not. But that means something to them. So there are people. My father, in all of his business practices, was that way. When he placed an order with a representative from one of one of our suppliers, he didn't wait for the paperwork to come from the supplier and everything. He shook the salesman's hand, and the salesman said, I'll get right on it, and you'll get the paperwork on this and all. But that handshake was their contract. Sure. And there was no signing the orders and this and that. But today, I think it's because the processes become so skewed. It's like you can never cover your butt far enough.
Yeah.
You've got to cover it and recover it, and
we live in a very litigious society. Everybody feels like they need to protect themselves, and you never know. I was on a plane one time years ago, maybe even before we got married, or right around the time we did. Anyway, somebody it was one of those big planes where it was like 5 in the middle and 3 on either side. It was a big wide plane,
jumbo jets.
Yeah, and I don't even remember where we were going, but irrelevant. There was somebody who got sick on the plane, and I don't know what happened, but the flight attendant, came over and said, is there a doctor or whatever she said. Well, Phil, being in the medical industry, even when we first sat down, pointed out a doctor that he knew he had called on once upon a time, and he knew who he was. Well, we saw the doctor during the announcements, and he would whisper to his wife and, not stand up and whisper to his wife again. And they made another announcement, and I don't remember the details. Eventually, he did stand up, but we think stood up after somebody else was already tending to the passenger. People are afraid to make a move these days.
That's right.
You just don't know if you want to be the one, because all of a sudden that patient, if he did something wrong, moved his arm the wrong way or whatever, all of a sudden he's being sued. But on the other hand, I thought that you were medically bound to react in a situation like that if you are a medical person, a professional. I don't know. He had put it this way. He did eventually get up, but he hesitated long enough to where I don't think he was the first one to the scene.
Yeah, I think there's something within the Hippocratic Oath that covers them if they work in an emergency situation, whether it goes good or it goes a little sour. The person might end up becoming permanently disabled, but they didn't die.
Right.
And then they also passed several years ago something on a Good Samaritan law. For instance, somebody has an accident, and it looks like there's gasoline that's dripping from their car, and you figure they need to get out of that vehicle. You can't wait for the fire department or police to arrive, and so you take it upon yourself, and maybe it ends up breaking the person's arm or leg, getting them out of the car before the car explodes. There's Good Samaritan laws that will protect you.
But I mean,
but any law can be challenged.
Well, that's what I'm saying. And like you were saying, back in the good old days, right, when a good handshake meant something, or your word. I think we're all so paranoid of each other, and we're living in a very, very litigious and judgmental and unforgiving society. People are afraid to kind of make a move. People are afraid to react in those types of situations. I know we're getting close to a break, but I want to address when we get back agreements that very often don't happen the way they were initially put together.
Because you didn't put enough terminology.
Well, and that's the thing. You are always going to be and you might not see that fine print, even if it's in writing. Even if it is in writing, you might not see that fine print. You might not. But I have a friend who has a car issue right now, and she believes that the valet people damaged the bottom of her car, and she has taken it upon herself to work with the valet people company to explain to them how clearly they were the one to damage. But sure, there's going to be something written in there that like they're not liable for any, So I want to talk. I know we're really up, but I would like to talk about even in writing. We're talking about verbal and and handshakes and whatnot, and just trusting people. But sometimes even an agreement in writing can be volatile and not completely foolproof.
Right.
So
all right. Well, we'll pause for a break, and
I agree to come back to you.
I agree too. And
we're shaking.
Okay, we got that's a legal binding contract. Listen to the commercials, and we'll see you in a few minutes.
3, 2, 1. KVGIRadio.com.
Y'all really just opened my bubble and just...
KVGI Radio brings you conversation and entertainment. Be sure to follow us on social media. Who streams the best talk shows? We do.
listening to KVGIRadio.com. Streaming live from the KVGI studios in Frisco, Texas. Live without limits.
Welcome to Something to Talk About, a lively hour of open discussion covering, well, anything and everything. Hosted by Stuart Sachs, husband, father, and military veteran, and Vaughn Loick, wife, mother, and best-selling author. Now, Something to Talk About. Stuart and Vaughn.
And we are back live and without limits here on KVGI Radio in Frisco, Texas. And today we're talking about agreements. Agreeing to agree or agreeing to disagree or whatever, but agreements. Did you know that a handshake is legal and binding in the state of Louisiana?
Oh, good to know.
Louisiana has a law that if,
That's why it's such an awful place to.
that's
Sorry, I take that back. I was just kidding.
That's why. No, I mean, again,
Interesting.
it would probably be a good idea to
Interesting.
videotape it so that it shows that okay, we shook hands. See,
Yeah.
mom, dad, we
Yeah.
just shook hands, and so we're good. It's
Yeah.
legal.
But we were talking during the break also, one thing we added is if you get something in writing, not only to have that third signature, a witness perhaps, if you're just doing it on the street somewhere, whatever, but if you can get a notary to stamp it, that's definitely very official.
And you don't necessarily have to go to the bank or something to get something notarized. There are mobile notaries now.
Mm-hmm.
I had one on my show about a year ago. That actually you can call. You can call and a notary will come
Yeah.
to you.
Well, I have a friend who just got her notary license or certificate, whatever, and she goes around and you do that. That's
I mean
interesting.
that's
Yeah.
pretty cool
think
because
so, too.
let's say that we're deciding to buy this house and we want to make sure and we get everything. We want to make sure we got the documents, but they say take it to a notary or something. You call up and you say, hey, listen, I'm here's my address and can you be there? And they come over in 10 minutes. They notarize it right on the spot.
And there were more times that you think that you would need a notary. Like, for example, our daughter went to Mexico, traveled with a couple other families without us. And she was 15 or 16 at the time, so not young, but a minor. And so we had to have documents printed up that she was a minor and that she was given permission to travel out of the country with people, not her family or whatever. And we had to have it notarized. So there are many times where they ask for a notary public, and you
Well,
can.
this may sound a little bit awkward or odd, but we do that whenever we go out of town and we leave the dog with a dog sitter.
I'm sorry. What do you do?
Lauren makes up a list and has the name of the vet
Yeah.
and all, and gives the person. We have somebody that comes and stays at the house.
The right to treat any
Yes.
emergency
So-
situation.
Yeah, if need be, she can take that document, which is notarized, and take it to a vet and say, here, the dog is coughing up blood
Right.
or whatever, and I have this letter from the owners that say it's okay for me to bring the dog here to you.
Very interesting.
And it's a good idea. And the same thing is true.
I've done it with my kids, but I've never
Right.
done it with a pet. What I have done when we've left our pets at home is I've just added emergency contact people to the list at the veterinarian's office. I've never thought to have a document because you're right. They might not go to the vet. They might have to go to the ER. So I didn't know that you would even need something like that for an animal, but I guess.
You can never be too cautious today. And, and like you say, your
Yeah,
first
you're right.
instinct is you're going to go away for a week and you're leaving somebody to take care of your children. You always want to make sure that everything is covered. Everything, I'm telling you, you have any allergies the kids might have, their blood type, any information that you can put on a piece of paper and then have it notarized.
Mm-hmm.
It's always a good idea to do something like that. But it's nothing wrong with doing that for a pet.
Oh my gosh, absolutely.
You're just
And
making an extra
a side
precaution.
note to that, we're not supposed to be calling. Well, not excuse me. There was discussion of not calling them pets. Did y'all see that in the news? Calling them companions. There literally is a group out there right now advocating
that doesn't like the word pet.
They don't like. They feel that the word pet, and this is off the subject a little bit. Gee, imagine that, us going off topic. But there's a group of people, I don't know where, but they're talking about the word pet kind of putting too much of a distance between you, and that it's just an object, it's just a thing and an object. Whereas companion, it's a little bit more personal, part of the family type of thing. For me, I could say pet or companion. I still treat my animal, my live-in creature, the same as I would if I called it a pet or a companion.
Well,
I think it's a little extreme, but that's how we are.
Well, you used to have a garbage man pick up your waste. Now he's they call it a waste engineer. Or a steward or stewardess.
Well, that's why I changed. You heard me earlier. I went
it's
flight attendant.
a flight attendant.
Yeah.
We all have to be
I know,
so
so
politically
careful. Oh my
correct
gosh.
These days.
Yeah. Anyway, that's another topic. But
Yes.
I do want to get back.
Well, Sydney over here, we wouldn't call her the show engineer. She's the show producer.
Well, I said producer. I like producer.
She's
I mean,
she's our
there's a
producer.
lot to be said for titles. I like titles, but I also don't think we should be offended if we. I mean, come on, pet, companion. Is there a big difference? I don't know. But that was just a side note. Go Google it. You'll see. I don't know how far
I'm
they've
happy
gotten.
being called a husband, not a domestic partner.
I'm queen.
Or you're a queen.
I'm queen.
Okay.
Queen Vaughn. Thank you.
And leave it that way.
And just that's it.
You will be beheaded.
We're not going to. That's right. Let them eat cake. Off with you, peasants. I have a show to run here. No, I was going to say, though, one thing I wanted to talk about, because I have a lot of friends, my parents, even Phil and I, we've done work to our house. We've had work done to landscaping. We've had contractors come in and out over the years. I've had a lot of friends who've had remodeling done and additions put onto their house and whatnot. Well, there's always that agreement in the beginning. Oh, yes, we can do this, that, and the other, and we can have it all done in X amount of time. Okay?
Right.
And
you sign here.
You
and
you sign. So you've signed, and you've even put some money down. I do want to recommend don't put too much down in the beginning, and certainly don't ever pay all up front. Okay, that's kind of a no-brainer, but
Yes.
I'm going to tell you right now, I know people who've gotten themselves in a big pickle because they've either paid all down or they've paid over what they should, and the job is either not done correctly or not done at all, job abandonment, things like that happen. But anyway, things are signed and things are done, and then all of a sudden, toward the end of the project or even at the end of the project, they get their final bill. Whoa. This is not what we agreed to at all. This is $10,000 more. Oh, yes. Well, that is because, do you remember we came in that time and you said that this little board here should be on the other side, or some little conversation? Never was it discussed.
You wanted to make a change?
Wanted to make a change, or maybe you didn't even make a change. Maybe they said, well, when we went to go pick up that particular brick that you requested, we realized that brick had gone up 50% from when you initially ordered it. So that's what I'm telling you, 9 times out of 10 people who have work done, even when they agree to it, sign it, contract, there is something written in there to where it's, things happen, prices of things go up.
Right.
You made a change, or this happened, or that light fixture wasn't available, so we had to do this brand instead of that brand, and that. So, you unless you get a lawyer to look at every little thing that you are making a deal on, who can really legally bind it right then and there, you're really taking a risk.
Well, that's called fine print.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
and normal people don't take the time to go through the
Right.
fine print.
Mm-hmm.
That's why if you're talking about something like a home remodeling, something that has a substantial cost associated with it, it's a good idea to get an attorney, because what you're paying that attorney for is to go through all of that fine print and find that little line in there that says, if the materials specified in this contract are not available, the owner gives the contractor the authority to get the most available product on the market at the time in order to complete the job under time. Okay, so now that could mean that instead of it being $1 a brick, he goes out and he had to buy $2 a brick. That can be buried in that fine print. Look, how many times do you go online, and we all do it now, we're all sometimes buying products online, and before you check out, you get this little thing that you have to scroll all the way down, and at the bottom it says, I agree. There's a little box. And before you hit place order, you have to check that agree box.
And you have no idea what you just agreed to.
And what you do is, have you ever gone through and read all of that? You just hit agree, place order.
Right.
And now when the order comes in, and you all right, you bought it for what it was, but all of a sudden the shipping was 3 times what you thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I happen to have gotten stuck on something like that where I ordered something for $20 and it had $14 in shipping and fees.
Yeah. Shipping's
But-
usually free now, but usually
a lot of times it
lot of
is,
times.
or there's a limit.
Yeah.
You know, and it's free for $49 and you've only ordered 20. Well, they want to try and make up some of that money, so they
Right.
get the high shipping fees. You're better off ordering two of them.
And sometimes it's not even in fine print. It's not only in fine print, but sometimes it is just confusing verbiage. Like I was going through an order the other day, and it was an order. It was for a graduation cord for my daughter. And I was going along just fine, and the wording was something like just to expedite the process, okay? You know, of course, you know me, Stuart. I like to get from point A to point B pretty fast, right?
Right.
So I said, expedite the process? Sure, I want to expedite the process. So I hit something, and I got my order done and everything. Well, at the end of it, my order was placed and everything, and then it thanked me for saving my credit card information on file.
Oh.
And I don't do that.
Yeah.
I don't ever save my credit card information on file. So I was not happy, because I'm going to tell you right now, I don't remember the exact verbiage, but it was not clear. It did not say we're going to save
They don't want to make it clear.
Of course not, because they know most people are not going to want to save their credit card information on their file. I would have no reason to do that. I'm buying a graduation cord. How many times in the future am I going to be buying graduation cords?
Well,
So the verbiage there was very confusing, and I actually emailed them back, and there was a phone number I called, and I have not yet connected with anybody, but I want my credit card information off that website. But it was such that it was all they basically said was, do you want the wording was more like just get to the end of the order, and then after everything's done and they're confirming everything, and thank you for saving your credit card information. That was the piece that was expediting. So that was dirty. It's a little dirty.
Well, you have to be careful, because sometimes they'll say you can save 10% or something by putting your contract on an automatic on that credit card, putting it on an automatic annual renewal. Which, so all of a sudden you get an email that says thank you for renewing your contract for your 20-year-old washing machine, or something. You say, well, I don't need to pay an extra $100 a year or something to cover it, because it's whatever.
Yeah.
You have to be. You're right. You have to be very careful.
Yeah, because it's not only small print, but it's confusing print. Emily ordered shoes years ago from this Shoe Dazzle something or other place, and I don't want to throw any company under the bus, but it was something like that. To make a very long story short, we did not realize for over a year we'd been paying $20 a month or something along those lines to this company. And it was such a little amount that you wouldn't really notice it. Yeah. But when it was all said and done, and when we finally caught it, we were like $700 some odd into this, and we weren't even getting shoes anymore. It was some kind of scam.
Now,
So
I get that
we did pay, and here's another little thing. If you're in a position to where you've just gone into an agreement with somebody and you're having to pay, and you can pay with credit, pay with credit card that will protect you. Ours, we trust American Express, and I know other credit cards will protect you. But in this situation, we knew American Express had our back. We were going to get all the money back from them if we didn't get it back from the company.
Right.
We did get it back from the company after a big fight. But also there are ways to protect yourself in how you pay, not only in the agreement that you're signing, but in how you pay, because should something go awry with the agreement, if you're protected just in how you paid, you could at least get your money back, that way.
Yeah, sometimes I order products for the dog from
We're back to
from
the
a
dog.
source.
Just so you know, if you come back as anything in your next life, come back as Stuart's dog. I mean, and Lauren.
Yeah.
Stuart,
And actually, in my next life, I want to come back as my dog.
I know. I mean,
But see, my dog is not a pet. My dog is a companion.
well, there we go. Okay.
See,
Yes.
But I can save like 15% or something by putting that product on automatic order. In other words, you save money by automatically renewing that product to be delivered, let's say every 45 days. Problem is, 45 days, you haven't used up all the product that you've got, and now a new bag comes in 45 days, and you realize now I'm backed up because now I got all of this product, and in 45 days it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm.
But you're penalized if you break that regular shipment.
How are you penalized?
Because now what they do is they say, oh, well, you put on automatic delivery,
Right.
and you're canceling the automatic delivery, so you don't get that 15% savings.
Yeah. Moving forward, you won't get the 15%. They're not going to
Yeah, and you'll probably get
ding
reassessed
for the.
some.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, interesting.
There's
Do you by any chance order from Chewy.com?
Yeah.
Okay, so we did as
Yeah.
well for Duke and for our cat Rocky. We've since lost Duke. We had to end, and we had to end because we had to end that food coming in, because when it's automatic, you forget because it's just coming. Well, Rocky, we get his food. That's our cat, and all of a sudden we realized that bags were being delivered, and he hadn't yet gotten through the previous bag,
Right.
and so it was just so funny because Phil was on the phone, and
because you clicked on
sometimes
automatic.
we did.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's not easy to cancel these things. They don't make it easy. And Phil was on the phone, and me and Elizabeth were in the room listening to him, and it was so funny because he finally got to a point where he was getting so frustrated. He's like, listen, my cat can't eat this fast. He's not eating this much and this fast. I can't keep up with this order. And so they finally backed us off a little bit. I don't know if we're doing, I guess we lost the automatic deal.
Yeah.
I bet you're right. I didn't even think to ask Phil if we got dinged on that. But yeah, we had that automatic delivery too. I didn't realize you got a discount if you. Yeah, they try to incent you to just
when you
keep
order
that.
the product, it'll say this product is $8.99,
Yeah.
but if you have it on automatic delivery, it's like $7.50.
Yeah.
And you say, "Wow, I can save $1.50 a bag if I agree
Right.
to have them send it every
Right.
60
Because you know
days
what
or
they
something."
want you to be repeat. You know, my girlfriend is having her house painted right now, and they were working in the kitchen, and there was some discussion over her. I want to say maybe fixtures. You know, the faucet.
Yeah,
The handles and whatever.
they're called faucet handles.
You know, what do you call those things?
Yeah, faucet handles.
Yeah,
And
faucet
that
handles.
other thing is called a faucet.
And a faucet. You know, that thing like a faucet? And those things like handles?
Sometimes it's called a gooseneck
Yeah.
faucet.
That's kind of what I was. Anyway, she was having some kind of issue, and so she remembered that she had signed some kind of warranty, okay, some kind of, agreement here, that it was going to be like I don't know about lifetime, but certainly extended warranty, whatever. Well, and then would be replaced. Well, when she called just very recently, like last week, they said to her, oh, well, in order for you to receive that, you were supposed to, every 6 months, you were supposed to have it serviced or something along the lines of having it looked at
Have it
every
checked.
6 months. And then that would qualify her then for that,
Yep.
warranty extended. She said, "You got to be kidding me." That was, I mean, if that was in there, it was.
Well, yeah. Well, if you go to the big box stores to buy an appliance or something, it's always you feel like, oh, that washing machine, that's a pretty good deal, but then they want to send you on either the extended 1-year warranty, a 3-year warranty, or the best deal is the 5-year warranty. But that adds another couple of $100
we never do
to the
it.
deal.
Do you? We never do it.
I generally don't.
We never do it. Phil, the only thing that we'll do sometimes is insurance on phones, just because we've got kids. I don't want to say kids; they're young adults now, but I don't know why.
They're always your kids,
and they always are. They're our babies, and they drop their phones. Okay, they're kids who drop their phones all the time, especially our middle one. Love you, Emily, but you do drop your phone a lot.
She doesn't have an otter or something.
Oh, don't even say that. Phil wants us all in otter boxes and protective.
Yeah.
I have a new phone here,
like the military.
and I have a protected screen. They've come a long way, by the way, with protected screens. So if you never wanted one before because it was hard to touch and thick, they've come a long way now with these protected screens over the front, and I recommend you get it because.
She's doing a magic act over here. And poof.
So I have to ask you a question. Have you had any horror? Have you ever had a bad experience making an agreement with somebody that kind of fell through?
No, I really haven't. And if I did, maybe it was over a small amount. But I've generally, my father, I guess, taught me that it's probably not a good idea to do things like this with friends. In other words, if you said to me, I need a new set of tires, I might say, you know what, call National Tire and Battery or something, because I think they have a program where if you get the tires over there, you can get 12 or 24 months to pay it instead of taking the money from a friend. Yeah. Always look in some of those other options.
I agree completely.
I got another point that I want to get in before. When you talk about a binding contract or so, secrets. How important is it to keep secrets? Let's say I tell you a secret. I say, Vaughn, listen, I'm going to tell you something, but please don't tell anyone. And all of a sudden you have a discussion with our producer, Sydney. And oh geez, Stuart just told me about this that happened, and he's going to lose his house or whatever. And then all of a sudden, I find out via Sydney or somebody else that, wait a minute, where did you hear that? Well, so and so told me. I told that to you in confidence. That was an agreement we had. That was
Yeah. You're taking a risk when you tell a secret.
You breached a friendship, and you breached an agreement and everything, and it won't stand up in court.
You spilled the beans.
Yeah.
You spilled the beans is what you did, and that's not again. So here's the deal. Again, secrets. I take secrets seriously.
I do too.
And so I'm not a teller of secrets. I mean, okay, let me take that back. Because my parents are listening, and I am the youngest of 3 girls, and I'm pretty sure as the youngest, I probably told on them a lot. I probably was the tattler of the family, but I have since grown and matured and mellowed.
Because your kids have probably told on you,
right? And so no, but in my later years, my friends and I, we call it if it's something that we're sharing that we really hold sacred and want them to hold sacred, we say, "I need you to be my vault on this one."
Yeah.
And a vault, when you I know personally speaking, when I go to my friends and I say this has to go into the vault, then that's a little bit more of a serious I have a secret. Oh, here's a secret. I saw Mary Sue last week. She's really gained some weight. All right. Well, if that secret gets out, not the end of the world. But if I have a vault kind of secret, it's a secret that is usually held more sacred. But I think that depends on the person. There are some people out there that tell secrets and their conscience allows them to tell secrets and they have no problem with it. My personality is if I told a secret, I'd feel guilty, And so that's
a difficult situation, because if somebody tells me a secret, tells me not to say anything to anyone, I won't.
Right.
I won't. Now,
well,
Lauren might come back to me.
What about you telling? Do you think husband and wife is okay?
If somebody says something to me, and please don't tell anyone, including your wife or whatever, I will not. I mean, maybe that's just.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just the military trust or something
Well,
that
yeah.
I developed. But let's a week later or something, Lauren says to me, "Oh, did you hear that so and so was having an affair with so and so?" And I'll say, "Yeah, how did you know?" "Well, so and so told me." I said, "Well, yeah, I knew about that 2 weeks ago." "Well, why didn't you tell me?" "Well, because he told me that he regrets having the affair and all, but he had the affair, but he told me and he said, 'Don't tell anyone.'"
Yeah.
And so I didn't. Now all of a sudden I'm the bad guy because my wife said, "Well, why didn't you tell me?"
Yeah.
Because I was told, "Don't tell anybody."
Yeah.
So
Sometimes
that is a
you know,
form of verbal agreement that two people share.
Yes, it is, but it's nothing. A secret is a secret, and if you keep it, you keep it. That means that you're of good character and you are a trustworthy person and all that. But you're nothing more. It's not a bind. I mean, when you tell a secret, you're putting it out there in the wind. You're taking a risk that it's going to be shared with others. I will tell you that I do keep secrets, but I do share a lot. Pardon me, with Phil. And I mean, I think that if I'm and again, I haven't been told anything that, like, I mean, I've got some secrets right now, but I don't nothing that would be that.
Tell me one. Just one.
Well, and we obviously can't share on commercial because breaks. But no, but I do. But I think sometimes even when I tell a secret to a friend, I think I assume that they'll share with their spouse. I just assume that. I assume that. Just
Well, but I think the person that's asking,
it depends on the secret.
Yeah.
It does depend on the secret.
I mean, if I was to say to you, "I want to tell you a secret," I better say to myself, "Listen, she's very, very loyal to her husband, and if she shares the secret with her husband,
Yeah.
then maybe
Yeah.
I should share it with Phil
Right.
too, and share it with you, because if it's a secret with you and all, and you're going to share it with Phil, then
Yeah.
it's no longer a secret between us,
Right.
and there's the breach
Yeah.
of that confidence."
It does depend on the secret. It really does.
It does.
And again, you might need to say when you're delivering that secret, this cannot even be shared with your husband. This is how,
Right.
But
also, you have to then say to yourself, if it is that important to keep that confidential, why do you have this feeling that you have to share this secret with someone else?
and
Why don't you
we're
keep
coming
it
up
as your
we're
secret?
against again, but I have to say there is a difference between sharing a secret and spreading rumors. So be careful there.
No,
If
that's
I'm told
true.
something that is just kind of like I might not want to share it because I just think it's a rumor. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
Wow.
I'll
that was
share a
fast.
secret with you.
What?
We're going to be here again next week
Oh, that's no secret.
at 11 o'clock. Okay?
That's no secret.
And you
It's no
want to
rumor.
I don't care if you tell the whole world.
Okay, well let's tell 'em.
Okay? So go off and make it a great weekend and all, and join us again next week for something to talk about. And it was good having you, and thanks again, Sydney.